It's easy to think that training for a triathlon purely involves swimming, cycling and running. And if you're strapped for time, then it's going to be difficult to justify fitting in any other training. But if you can manage 1 or 2 strength and conditioning sessions a week, it can make a huge difference to your overall performance and also your ability to train for those 3 sports. So with that in mind, we've chosen a few key exercises that you can fit around your training that can be either done at home or in the gym. Now we're going to begin with side band walks, as these are great for activating your leg muscles as well as your core. And they also act as a bit of an extended warm-up before we get onto the heavier exercises. You'll need an elastic band of some sort that can fit around your ankles and has enough elasticity so you can sidestep with it. So lower yourself into a half squat style position with your chest up, facing forwards, and then sidestep sideways in a crab style walk, maintaining pressure on the band throughout each step. In this position, take 10 steps to your right and then 10 steps to your left, trying to make it smooth and light on your feet, so you shouldn't actually see your head bobbing up and down. It should be more of a continuous movement. Take a rest and then repeat it once or twice more. And if you're doing this properly, you'll really start to feel it burn on the outside of your bottom. Superman is another activation style exercise that's going to focus on the trunk and the core. So start in 4-point kneeling with your knees and shins and your hands on the floor, and your hips should be directly above your knees, your shoulders should be directly above your hands. Start by simply lifting one hand off the ground and extending your arm out in front. Place it back and then repeat on the other side. Now this might sound simple, but check that your hips and torso do not move. Once you've got that control, you can then move to extending one leg at a time out behind you. The movement needs to be slow and controlled, with all of the focus on keeping the hips still and not arching the lower back. The next step from here is to work your arms and your legs together. So you're going to be working across the diagonal. So start off by extending one arm, and then you're going to extend the opposite diagonal leg at the same time in a very controlled manner, and then bring them back together. So this will really be activating your core across that diagonal, and then obviously repeat on the other side. It might sound easy, but it's much harder than it looks to make sure that you don't actually let your torso move too much. And if you can, do it in front of a mirror, or maybe get a friend to watch you to check that you're keeping that really good form. And when it comes to this, it's very much important to concentrate on quality, not quantity. So I'm not going to give you a number here, but as soon as your form starts to drop, then take a rest. Single leg squats are great for increasing strength and control. Cycling, running and even swimming are all unilateral movements, and therefore one side of the body is moving separately to the other. Well, this requires strong core, great coordination and the obvious limb strength. Start off by standing on one leg, if possible in front of a mirror. And then before progressing, check that your hips are still level. Then start to lower your body down by bending that standing leg and pushing your bottom backwards as though you're going to sit on a chair. Go as far as you can maintain the control, and then straighten back up to single leg standing. You can even pop a chair behind you and then go down to just touching and back up again, but you need to make sure that the movement is smooth and you don't actually sit down at the bottom, so taking a couple of seconds to go down and a couple of seconds to come back up. Keep your knee tracking forwards over your laces towards your toes. Your chest needs to be kept up and your gaze forwards. If you really struggle with control, then you can use a TRX style cable or even hold a stick to give you a little added stability. It's just important to do this action correctly, as quality beats quantity here. These squats are especially great for running as they replicate that stance phase of the gait. So they're going to activate all of those smaller muscles that help to control your lower leg and your foot, as well as obviously working the large muscles such as your glutes and of course your core that we've already mentioned. So if you start off by aiming to do 2 sets of 5 reps on each leg, and then you can progress this by increasing the number of sets or the number of reps, and both. And then when you really want to take it a step further, you can add a weight. But another progression that I actually quite like is to change the surface which you're standing on. So it really adds that challenge of proprioception, making it something that's less stable. Hip bridges will activate the posterior chain, so those muscles at the back of the body, and in particular they'll really start to get those glutes firing. So for this exercise you need to start by lying on your back with your knees bent, your feet flat on the ground, and you should be able to just brush the back of your ankles with your fingertips. Begin this exercise by lifting your hips and your bottom off the floor and raise towards the ceiling, whilst keeping your hips level and your thighs parallel, so that gap between your knees remains the same. Once you lift up into full hip extension, there should be a straight line from your shoulders on the ground all the way up to your knees. aim to do it as 1 second up, 1 second down in a continuous movement. Start off by aiming to do 3 lots of 10 reps. And this is quite an easy exercise to actually progress. So the obvious progression will be to take it to single leg. But here you need to really make sure that you're still keeping your hips extremely level. And if you want to then take it another step further, you can add a weight that you hold over your hips. Well, this does predominantly work your glutes and a little bit of your hamstrings, as I've already mentioned, but you can actually add in some more activation. So if you put a block between your knees and you've got to squeeze to maintain that, that will start to work the inner thigh. And then the opposite, you could actually have a band around your knees. So you've got to maintain that gap by pulling out against the resistance band, which will work your outer thighs. Arm exercises are a little harder to do at home and also hard to vary without weights, but we're going to start with the obvious, the press up. Well, this is great for working your pecs, your deltoids, your triceps, biceps, and all of those muscles around your upper arms and your shoulders. And they obviously are going to be great for that strength required for swimming. I expect you probably know how to perform a press up. So start face down with your hands underneath your shoulders and your arms extended. The rest of your body should be in a straight line from your feet up to your shoulders. Then from this position, bend your elbows and lower your body in a controlled manner towards the floor. Just before the point of touching the ground, push back up to your starting position. You need to engage your core throughout this movement to ensure you've got that nice straight line of your whole body. Now, if you do struggle to do full body weight press-ups, you can alternatively do them on your knees, but do make sure in this position that it's a straight line from your knees to your shoulders and you're not just simply folding at the hips. Now, as for the number, aim to do 3 sets, but as for the amount of reps, that depends really on where you're starting from. So try to keep the same number throughout, and you should be finishing that 3rd set feeling as though you can't do any more. Calf raises are a simple exercise that can be performed pretty much anywhere, and they are great for strengthening your Achilles tendon and your calf muscles, both of which are essential for running. To start with, you can do these by standing on a flat surface and raising your body weight onto your toes, lifting your heels. As soon as you've got enough control, take this to a step and then stand on the ball of your foot with your heels over the edge. And you can lower your heel down and then lift all the way up, so you're working your calf muscles through that full range of movement. You can progress this by moving to single leg, but do make sure that your hips stay level throughout it, or you can even add weight to increase that difficulty. So if you're doing double leg, start off by trying to do 3 sets of 10 reps. If it's single leg, 3 sets of 8, and then progress as you get stronger. There are so many options for core exercises, but today we're going to keep it super simple with a good old plank. Now this is going to activate those muscles around the trunk, which will help to make you more efficient for your swimming, cycling and running. And yes, all the exercises we've already covered are going to activate your core to a certain extent, but this one is really going to make you feel it. You've got the option here of starting on your elbows or your hands, whichever you use, though, make sure that they're underneath your shoulders. So facing down, raise your body away onto your toes and elbows or hands and aim to get a straight line or a plank shape from your heels all the way to your head. You might well start to experience a shake, but hold through it for as long as you can manage. If you can, get someone to check that you're not dropping your hips or that you're not cheating by actually lifting your hips up too high. And if you're finding this nice and comfortable and easy and you've got a stable position, then you can progress it by moving to single leg. So simply lift one leg off the ground, hold it there, replace and then swap it to the other side. And then you've got side plank, which will move the concentration to the side of your trunk. You can simply rotate onto one hand or elbow and place one foot on top of the other. Still keeping that straight plank position, make sure you hold for the same amount of time on the other side too. Like I said, this is just a selection of exercises that require minimal equipment, are straightforward to do and will directly help you as a triathlete. But do feel free to experiment with them, adapt and work out which exercises work for you. And if you can, try to fit them in 2 to 3 times a week and you will certainly start to see a difference. Well, give us a thumbs up, like if you've enjoyed it, hit the globe to subscribe. And if you've got any exercises that you like to do, let us know in the comments section below. And if you want to see a video that's specifically designed on strength and conditioning purely for runners, you can find that one over here. And if you've got knee injuries or you want to know how to prevent a knee injury, you can see that one just down here.